Hey everybody, what's up? The energy that we're starting off with is one where it looks like you're going through some course. I'm seeing this as being like a spiritual course within 3D that you're moving through right now, but it is something that can be more of a process. You know how like when you take a class, there are like multiple classes that you have to take, and then it's going to eventually like add up to something, like there's the whole curriculum there. So this can be something that it's a bit more of a drawn out process is the way that it's seeming. We're starting off with the Three of Wands. With this, there can be a movement that you are ready for. You can be making arrangements as well, or even thinking about that. Usually with the Three of Wands, we are wanting to go beyond where we've gone before, and that we want to cover new ground. We want to kind of go to distant lands. We want to be exploring. Because I'm seeing Queen of Cups and I'm seeing Hermit here, this can be more so on the emotional front. Maybe there's some experiences that you want to have that are beyond the experiences that you've already had. Maybe there's some type of advancement you would like to make within your relationships, within your spirituality, within your like mindset even. You can be ready for something. Three of Wands is feeling like advancing in some way. And so with that Queen of Cups, it can be maybe you want to advance within your art. Maybe you want to advance within your relationships. Maybe you want to advance within your spirituality. Maybe you want to advance within your psychological knowledge. There's going to be some with your energy work. There's going to be something where you feel like you want to expand the perimeter of what you've been doing. And this can be something that's been on your mind a lot. Maybe you're asking yourself what you feel like you're ready for, what you maybe have in mind here. You can be getting a better, more clear idea of what that is. Which also means too that there can be potential choice points that are popping up. And you can be wanting to take on more. Like maybe you've already, it's like some backyard that you've been in, and like day in and day out you've been in there, and you can be like, I want to see beyond just what's in this backyard. I really do feel like I'm ready for more. And maybe you also have not found it to be particularly appeasing either. I'm seeing a Five of Cups here. So maybe there's this part of you that's like, I had such big plans for what I was going to do when I got into the backyard, and now that I'm getting there, I'm like, that's not going to hold really what I'm trying to do, and so I'm going to need an extension. I have to extend this out. But there can also be this part of you that's kind of like mourning whatever your prior ideas were of what you were going to do with where you were before. And so there can both be this feeling coming in of, I'm ready to explore more, I'm ready to expand, and also maybe a sadness for what really didn't live up to the expectation that you had projected within your trajectory of what you thought was going to be able to be possible within the confines of where you were before, and maybe even where you still are. So this can be a process of like, I'm trying to come to terms with everything that is and everything that has been, so I can see the truth of that, so I can also understand that maybe what I'm trying to connect with is going to be beyond this. It's going to be maybe outside of this, outside of what I know, outside of what I've been knowing, outside of what I've grown accustomed to and familiar with. Maybe too, you feel like in order to have that like deeper connection or deeper experience that you're wanting, it is going to have to be outside of these circumstances. And I think that can be a lot to take in. Some of you, this is with your everyday. You can be feeling kind of lackluster with that. I'm seeing Five of Cups and I'm seeing Four of Wands. This can be a relationship that you're in. It can be like a commitment that you have, where you're like, I really thought that this was going to be different. It didn't really pan out the way that I thought it was going to. I'm seeing Virgo here. And with that energy of Virgo, so we have Queen of Cups and we have Virgo, which are important because it speaks about themes that are going on that you can be experiencing. So with the Queen of Cups, it's going to have to do with all of the things that you're feeling and all of the things that you're perceiving and stuff that you're becoming more aware of that you contain within yourself. And that is part of just overall the experience that you're having, how you really feel about things, what you want, what you don't want, what feels right to you, what also feels appetizing to you, what feels thirst quenching to you, and what also leaves you feeling dehydrated spiritually, emotionally, internally. Having the sign of Virgo here, a big part of the archetype of Virgo, because all of the zodiac signs, there are purposes among other things to them. The purpose of Virgo is to be able to look at something, to figure out what the problem is, and to figure out how to make it better, or if it needs to be left as it is and you need to move on to something else. So this can be something that's coming up for questioning. Maybe you're looking at the way that you feel and you're like, I don't want to lie to myself anymore because I see that when I'm reflecting and trying to actually get somewhere, I have to be totally honest with myself about the way that I'm feeling. Otherwise, I'm just going to go in circles. And that's also the shadow side of Virgo, which we're talking about because we have the sign of Virgo here, archetypally speaking. So this can be about like where you have Virgo in your chart, or it can be about like your Mercury placement, even as Mercury rules Virgo. So having this come up, what can be happening is that on the high vibrational end of Virgo, you'll be able to look at something, point out what the problem is, figure out a plan to make it better, or discern that something cannot be made better and you have to just leave it where it is because it can't really be changed. So it's the wisdom to know that. The low vibrational side of Virgo, or like the less developed side of Virgo, will be to think about something and think about something and think about something and go in circles, and no changes are ever made and the progress isn't made, and it's like always a problem but never getting any better. Or you'll get these like really short-term solutions, if you even want to call it that, and then it comes back up because you didn't really resolve anything, you just slapped a band-aid on something. So this is going to be like some type of theme having to do with that can be coming up. But with the Hermit, the only way that you are going to get the power of that energy is by being radically honest. Because if you're not working with the truth, you have no foothold in reality, in the reality of your experience. And so you're not going to be able to like manifest anything deliberately. It's going to be a lot of unconscious manifesting that you're doing, and things are going to stay exactly like this. You can be at a point where you're like, if I'm willing to face everything that I'm feeling, as difficult as it may be, it's going to be the key to changing the circumstance, and also me feeling like I get to have more of the type of experience that I would like to be having. But the challenge simultaneously can be admitting the truth of how it is that you actually feel about all of this, and that it has not lived up to your expectation. And that can be something that's difficult to do, because when we have high hopes, we can want to do anything other than admit that something didn't really work out the way that we thought it was going to. But it takes that type of radical honesty for something to change here. And when you get to the point where you're like, I'd rather face the truth and have it feel cutting and allow that to be a catalyst for change in my life, when you get to that point, that can be when we have those really important breakthroughs. But until we get to that point, we can be like kind of nitpicking and knowing that things are problems, but then like nothing is ever really happening. And then we can be in like bad energy because of it too, where it's like it doesn't feel good to be in that. Like feelings are arising, then they're being repressed, then we're like scared to make choices, and then we're running away from the way that we really feel and kind of avoiding doing that deeper reflection. We can also be like trying to micromanage other people and like pointing out their flaws instead of understanding the authority that we have to make changes that would really be helpful. So we try to control our environment instead of being accountable for the choices that we're making and understanding the role that we play within that. So these are like all themes that can be coming up overall as it relates to what you're experiencing right now. This can also show that there's been emotional development and growth too, having Three of Wands and having Queen of Cups here. So that can be something that you're remarking upon as well and acknowledging, where you're like, you know, if this was 5 years ago, I think this is something that I wouldn't even have acknowledged in the first place, because I would have just not wanted to admit to this. Like, I didn't want to face reality. Now you can be a clearing of the throat chakra. Now you can be getting to the point where you're like, I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to tune into like genuinely the way that I feel and like level with myself here and be clear about that. With that Five of Cups and Four of Wands, if you're ready for it, it can mean that like the fantasy that you had before is collapsing into the reality of what this is, and that there is an offset here. There is a difference here between what was initially assessed and speculated versus what it actually is. But this also shows your discernment growing. So this can be, you know, Virgo is also about making calculations and analyzing. You can be seeing how in the past you thought this situation was going to amount to a particular thing, and looking at it now, you can see where you made those miscalculations. What was I ignoring? What was I not listening to? What was I not being present to within me that should have been an obvious sign that things were going to go in this direction? What did I not want to tell myself the truth about? So you get to this point and you can be ready to admit really what this feels like for you. I'm seeing an Eight of Cups here, and I remember seeing this in another one of the readings that I did today too. It will either be the other reading that comes out today, or it will be the Scorpio reading that comes out tomorrow. I forget which one had the Eight of Cups, similar to this. Yeah, the Five of Cups was connected with the Eight of Cups in that reading too. So I'm seeing this as potentially being connected for some of you guys. In admitting what a situation is and that it may not really be what you'd been looking for all along, it was something, but it may have not been exactly what you've been wanting and what you're going to feel happy with. In admitting that, as difficult as it can be, it releases you from a situation that doesn't really feel like it's what you want, and then will allow you to go connect with what you actually want. That is the beauty of something like this. As much as it can be difficult, because it's like, I wanted it to be this situation, but it's not this situation. And the sooner you're willing to admit that, the sooner you can go find and connect with what you really want. That's the thing with progress too, is that you'll make progress as quickly as you're willing to admit the truth. And a lack of progress will come from a denial of the truth. So then you'll just stay kind of stuck in that little puddle. Seeing Hermit and then seeing Ace of Swords, maybe you've gotten to a point where this has become clear to you, and you can be even more clear on what you want and what is also not what you want. So this can be a huge breakthrough within your understanding, within your discernment, within your truth telling, and within your alignment with what it is that you truly feel and the acknowledgement of that. So you can be in a place where you're like, I know what holds meaning to me. I know what I'm really looking to develop. I know what I'm looking for as far as potential of what's possible for me to experience. And I also know what situations are not going to live up to that. Because yeah, maybe what it feels like is that you looked at this situation before and you could have seen a lot of potential in it, and what you can be seeing now is where it's not going to live up to that. And it was a possibility before, but now you can be seeing what has played out. And that it's not gonna go there for you. You know, it's not gonna develop into that. And so you've been in this situation long enough to be able to recognize that now. But there can still be a part of you that wants to push this away a little bit, where you're like, maybe it could be, but it's like, this is what it is. It definitely feels like you've been in this long enough to be able to conclude that now at this point. Because before you could have been like, maybe another day, maybe another week, maybe another month. You can be getting to the point where you're like, it's going to stay like this. And as soon as you get to that point of like being real with yourself about this, that can be the point when you free yourself from this cycle of just putting off what you already know to be true, but maybe more unconsciously. I see there being so much potential for you to actually connect with a circumstance that's going to be legitimately what you want, but you are going to have to free yourself from what is not going to be that for you. That doesn't mean that you can want this situation to be what you want, but that's not going to make it what you want. You can want this situation to be what you need, but that's not going to make it be what you need. So there's a big difference between those two, between like what you want something to be versus what it actually is. When you're acknowledging what this actually is, it's going to give you the power to acknowledge that that's what's going on here, and that that's not really going to be enough for you, and that that's not really what you want, and it's not really what's going to work for you at the end of the day. You're going to feel like something's off, like something's missing, like you're not getting things that you need. And yeah, at this point, it does feel like you're ready to, as I said before, expand beyond the perimeter of what you've experienced here and to move beyond this, to go see what else is out there. But this can also be something where it can be a situation that can be difficult to leave behind because of how much you've invested in it, like how much time and energy has gone into this and how many like hopes and dreams have gone into this. But at the same time, it's like, why can't you take all of what you're investing right now and put it into a situation that's actually going to like reach that potential of what you want? Doesn't that seem like a better idea? But you're basically going to have to like move the money over from one account to the next account. You have to like move this energy over from this situation to the next situation. And you have to give yourself to the freedom to go and find what you're looking for. Like, you have not found the right puzzle piece yet. And you can be trying over and over again, trying to like fit this into place. And it's like, you're not going to change the shape of it. You can bend something out of shape and then it just like pops back into the original shape. And you're like, why isn't this fitting? And then you look at this and you're like, I've been trying to fit the wrong piece in here this entire time. Like, what have I even been doing? But it's like, that's what denial does. That's what happens when we don't want to face the truth, and it's totally normal because we don't want to experience the pain of disappointment and the grief and the sadness of what we thought something was going to be. It's like you really thought that you found the puzzle piece, and it could have even felt maybe like if you squinted your eyes a little bit and you were like holding it down into place, that maybe it would stay there. And then as soon as you like stop doing that, as soon as you stop straining and like overdoing it, it comes out because it doesn't really fit. But I think the sadness of like, you know, I was waiting, I thought that this was going to be the one, like I really wanted this to be. We can have all of those feelings and it still is not going to make that puzzle piece fit there. But there's still opportunity for you to find that right puzzle piece. Like, there's still the potential of that thing being out there. But if you stay here, the only thing it's going to guarantee is that you're not going to find that puzzle piece that you're looking for, and you're not going to get to have that experience of that smooth fit. So are you getting to the point where you're maybe willing to open up here and start the next part of your adventure. That's really what we can be getting to at the end of the day. And this situation that you've been in has not been for nothing, because it's shaped your understanding of what the puzzle piece that you're looking for is actually going to look like. So you know what you're looking for now. So it has really defined that in a lot of ways for you. So now when you see it, you're going to know. You'll have a much better time, because before it feels like something kind of ambiguous where you're like, I'm hoping I'm gonna take this home with me and I'm really hoping that it's gonna fit where I need it to, and it's like coming to the conclusion, such a surprise that it like doesn't, but it could have, because of the lack of like information that you had before. Now with all the information that you have, there's so much more like savviness that you have, so much more wisdom that you have, so much more self-knowledge and self-awareness that you have. So now you really are going to be able to recognize that piece when you come across it. And that's what this situation has given to you, and that's also what the point of this has been, to clarify that for you. From a spiritual perspective, that's what the point of this was. All right, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.